By around midnight tonight, it starts to congeal together. So they start to morph into one large area of thunderstorms. It's at this time, so around midnight, that the threat will transition to more of a straight line wind threat, the possibility of some localized flooding because there will be some heavy rainfall as these come through. But in general, they'll get out of here without creating a large, widespread flooding threat. So 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we've got thunderstorms coming into the Interstate 65 corridor. By daybreak, they're gone. And tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be sunny and in the mid-60s. It'll be night and day from what we get through tonight. We do need to get through tonight safely. And again, the keys to that are having a way to get weather information, especially if you go to bed. Making sure that your way of getting weather information can wake you up in the middle of the night, and knowing where you're going to go. For you, your friends, your family, it's that ounce of preparation that's going to give you the peace of mind and the calm. I mentioned our Storm Shield app is a great resource. So is the News Channel 5 app. We will send push alerts if there are tornado warnings issued for the area, so you know that that's an added resource that can wake you up. Same thing, give your kids that kind of peace of mind as you head into the evening hours. So the storm has moved just a bit. We'll get another updated look. It looks like the hail threat now right on top of the Crofton area. This is moving through northern parts of Christian County. It's really going to hug that line, that Christian, Muhlenberg, Todd County line. This is a storm track on the hail core in the storm. So these are the towns that are under the greatest hail threat. The tornado part of it, or the rotational part of it, is just on the south side. So we'll do that in just a second. For now, these are the folks that I expect hail to be moving towards you. Upwards of an inch, perhaps a touch larger than that, between quarter size and maybe an inch and a quarter. I should say quarter like the coin, not 0.25. So 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a quarter. Probably easier to hear that. Kirkmansville, this puts it at 8 o'clock. Again, that tornado warning expires at 8, so that expires at about 8 minutes. The southern flank of this, where we've got the rotation concern, here's a storm track on that, and we're going to zoom in just a little bit tighter to get a look at this. So this is near Crofton. This would potentially have it near Kelly at 7:57. And to give you some perspective of distance for downtown Hopkinsville, this is going to pass about 9 miles just north of you, just to the northeast. So very near, especially in the northern part of town, but it will pass to the north. The storm track on it is not going to have it dive far enough south to go through downtown Hopkinsville, but you're definitely going to see that lightning on the horizon. Don't go outside and look at it. But if you were, you would see that. And of course, the rotation signature on that southern flank of that storm system. So here's another storm track. We'll take it just a little bit further beyond the actual confines of the warning. Crofton, 7:56, so that's in about 3 minutes. Fruit Hills, 8:03, putting it into near the Shiloh School area at 8:06. Again, that's after the warning is set to expire. The National Weather Service has communicated that they're going to reassess if they want to continue the warning, either as a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning, based on that rotational threat in just a few minutes here. So as soon as we get that update from them, I, of course, will update you. Here is where we sort of look for that rotation signature, and it's gotten quite broad. That's out of the Paducah area. Switch it back to Nashville. So yeah, biggest concern right now is still just west of the Crofton area. It's hopping between radars. So it's this area right here, right around 109, just west of Crofton, with the general motion bringing it towards Crofton and just to the southeast of it. So anyone in that general area, and we'll zoom in a little bit tighter to get some streets for you, you need to be down in that lowest, most interior level. That's where the greatest concern is for possible tornadoes from this cell. As that second batch comes through later tonight, you may have another threat to deal with as you get into the evening hours. So here's some streets. Pleasant Grove Road, Dripping Springs Street, near South Old Madisonville Road, near Rabbit Ridge Road. Again, this is the south side of Crofton. Likely the core of that rotation passing just south of you, but here's some of the streets to give you a better sense of where exactly this is. West Princeton Street, Railroad Street, again, Dripping Springs Street. The greatest concern is just to your south. So looking at the radar, it would be in this area right here where it almost looks like a notch is being pushed in. So right around 139, again, the greatest likelihood, kind of as you look at the anatomy of this entire area right here north of Crofton through Empire, hail. Quite a bit of that is likely being lofted and held in the upper levels of the storm. but we've had reports of that making it to the ground as well. And so then this wraps around. And so then the greatest likelihood of where you would see rotation would be right around here. So this is just west of Crofton. You get this kind of notch, this inflow. That's how warm air gets sucked in ahead of this. It helps to reinforce the updraft. It's basically the strength or the storm structure for this storm. So that would be the greatest concern for some possible rotation there. Again, moving to the southeast, not very fast, only around 30 miles per hour. One of the other concerns is the hail threat with this system. As I mentioned, that's closer to the entire area. And since we're zoomed in so tight, we'll take a look at that hail signature. It has intensified just in the last few frames. So you see how the purple is really starting to pop in the center of this. That indicates that we may have hail as large as 1 3/4 inches, 1.5 inches. Again, we're looking a few thousand feet up in the storm. So the actual hail size that's making it down to the ground, likely somewhat smaller than that just because of the melting, but that's still really significant as far as a hail threat, especially for northern parts of Christian County. Here's another look at that within the actual warning. So you see how the hail core is just west of Crofton. So there's your hail core. But if I change the view on this to the radar, you can see how that kind of snakes down just a little bit on the front edge of it. And that would be the main concern for some possible rotation. Yep, hail of 1.5 inches. Henry's joined me now in studio. So he's in from his time around with Storm 5 Titan tonight. Now we're both keeping an eye on things. That tornado warning looks like it has been extended through 8:30 now into northern parts of the rest of northern parts of Christian County. Yep, right on top of Crofton. It's about 12 miles north, the center of the storm, about 12 miles north of the Hopkinsville area, and I'm moving east at 30 miles per hour. So again, not moving very quickly at this point. Here is an updated look at the storm track. We'll put another storm track on this for you. So Crofton right around 7:59, Macedonia Church at 8:03, putting it into the Haley's Mill area at 8:07. Lacey's School, there's some schools in here as well as towns just to help you kind of get those locators so you know what to expect. Lacey's School right around 8:07, Bluff Spring 8:09, Johnson Church at 8:09 as well. So since this warning has been extended, it's because that rotation signature has been very persistent. We're going to back it up and give you a better perspective of the big picture with this as well. So here's a look at that storm. Again, the National Weather Service extending that tornado warning now through northern parts. All of northern Christian County is under a tornado warning. As far as who is in the clear for the tornado threat, it would be folks, let me circle it. You can find yourself. This area here, the threat is over for the tornado. This area is where the greatest hail core is. So I'm identifying all of these things. And here is where the greatest concern for rotation is. So let's talk about these in order of concern. Here's the storm track for the tornadic circulation near Crofton. Macedonia Church, 8:01. Lacey's School, 8:05. Bluff Spring, 8:07. Kirkmansville, right around 8:11. There's a lot on this map. Now we're going to take a look at the hail core and a track on where that is. So a reminder to you, this is where the greatest hail signature is. And just a track on that individually has it more on the northern side, so this will eventually intercept the Todd County, Muhlenberg County line as it continues off towards the east. So Coles Chapel, 7:58, that's right now. Haley's Mill, 8:03, Johnson Church, 8:06, Embry Church, right around 8:10, putting it near Rosewood at 8:17. And we'll take a look at the hail signature within it because that's going to have a large impact for folks on the north side of this. Yeah, you can see how the hail signature really started to blossom on the north side of Crofton. That's why the National Weather Service bumped up that severe weather threat to include 1.5 inch sized hail. For some perspective, 1.5 inches, that's going to do some damage to windshields. That's going to do damage to cars. That's going to likely do some damage to roofs, potentially even some siding. Now is not the time to go outside and see if you've had any damage. But I will tell you kind of a key, if you wake up tomorrow and either this storm or the cluster of storms that's coming out of Missouri does cause damage where you are, put a little circle on your calendar marking the day. So if you have to file any insurance claims, it'll help you remember when it happened, whether it was Monday night or Tuesday that the storm impacted your house. Clearly this is the Monday night storm system. It's not the only one that we are concerned about, though. So this is a single cell that has generated ahead of the main cluster of storms coming out of southern parts of Missouri and central parts of Illinois. It's the second wave on the back side of it that I want to address just for folks in Christian County, Todd County. Once this initial cell is through, you will likely get a little bit of a break in the action. And then as we head towards the evening hours, that cluster of storms coming out of southern Missouri, that will be your second opportunity for storms. And that likely won't be on your doorstep until closer to 11 o'clock or midnight. So don't think that this is a one and done, that once it's passed, your severe weather threat is over. It's not. Until that cluster comes out of southern parts of Missouri, Henry, I know you're joining in on me here. Until that cluster comes out of Missouri, you're not going to be in the clear as far as severe weather this evening. And that cluster in Missouri is going to get larger. It's going to get stronger as it moves over the next couple hours.
It is, and I want to take a look at something over the Crofton area right now, Bree. That's the storm you've been talking about. We've seen some pretty tight rotation over the area. That would be where the warning is, where the actual rotation of this tornado is. It's right over the Crofton area along Highway 41 right now. And unfortunately, this is really just kind of the beginning of things as we head throughout the rest of the evening. Is really kind of as we'd like to see these things, if they have to happen during the day, but that's just not the case right now. Unfortunately, it's going to be more of a nighttime event. So again, with that movement with these more so to, I believe we said the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. We'll put, if you're just joining us, if you didn't see the track just a moment ago when Bree had it, let me go on and get a storm track on this for you and let you know for cities that are indeed in the path of this tornado warned storm. We have seen large hail with this. That is going to be another concern with these storms. So again, with the rotation over the Crofton area, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour going until 8:30. So we will take this out exactly 29 minutes. That is when 8:30 will occur and the expiration of the storm will occur. At 8:09, it will be over Coles Chapel, Orange Grove Church at 8:14, the Apex area at 8:16, Cave Spring Church at 8:27. Certainly seeing a lot in the way of windy conditions in advance of this storm and a very intense cell that is over the Crofton area right now. A lot of lightning tied in with this, a lot of energy with this storm. And just taking a look at that hail signature with it, it's between Empire and Crofton along Highway 41. So seeing some decent hail associated with this storm at this time. Now, what we're getting as far as the measurements go, of course, is the radar beam is shooting up a bit, likely a bit smaller as it reaches the surface. So we're likely talking about quarter size hail, even up to, it wouldn't surprise me if we got a little bit of anywhere, say around that ping pong ball size hail, but regardless, hail a big concern with this as well. What you need to be doing right now, of course, is heading to your safe place, the lowest floor of your home. Preferably if you have a basement. If not, you want something like a bathroom, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Turn the TV all the way up so that you can hear Bree's voice and my voice as we continue to take you through this warning that is in effect until 8:30. Currently 8:02 right now. Crofton, right along Highway 41. That's where we see the most intense rotation of this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. We'll do a little street mapping for you so that you can get an idea if your neighborhood is in the path of this. The Rabbit Ridge Road area being impacted. William Lau Road, you all are in the path of this. South Old Madisonville Road as well, heading towards the Crofton Messadino area, or Messadino Road. So these are the areas that are in the path of this storm right now, of this tornado warned storm. And zooming this back out, intense rainfall with it, lots of lightning with it, and really just the beginning of things to come as we go through the rest of the evening, with the tornado watch, of course, taking us until, I believe, 1 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. Bree.
That's right. So tornado watch is in effect for our northwest counties through 1 a.m. It's very possible the National Weather Service will need to either issue a new watch that covers a greater portion of Middle Tennessee, potentially extend the watch that's there. That's something that they will decide as they continue to keep an eye on radar trends as we head into the evening hours. Speaking of radar trends, one of the things that I'm also noticing is some of the showers that are popping up ahead of this storm. So I mentioned how these were kind of front runners. Clearly the storm of the hour is this one, especially with the rotation near Crofton. Tornado warning, hands down the most dangerous part of this. However, I'm keeping an eye on what's happening all around it also. So out ahead of this in Todd County, central parts of Logan County, notice these showers that are just starting to develop. They don't look like much, they're just rain at this point, but but they're developing very quickly, and they've got a lot of ingredients to work with. So that's something that we'll keep an eye on. Also on the back side of it, some showers. These are riding a front in that area. That's part of what's enhancing that right turning motion, or more to the southeast for this specific cell. So tornado warning in effect until 8:30. This is now northeastern parts of Christian County. So Christian County, you are under the gun. Next in line for this is Todd County, especially near the Todd-Muhlenberg County border. If it continues this right jog, and I think it will, that would take it through Todd, central parts of Logan County, potentially down towards Simpson County, near the Tennessee border by Sumner and Robertson, closer to 9, 10 o'clock tonight, probably closer to 10 o'clock. Whether or not it maintains the rotation signature, we'll keep an eye on, but it has been a prolific hail maker. They've got reports of hail at least a ½ inch in size making it to the ground. I talked about the lightning earlier, how lightning and hail are often co-located together. The other thing that you keep an eye on is how many negative strikes and how many positive strikes. Negative strikes originate from the bottom of a thunderstorm, so they don't have to travel as far to get to the earth. Still powerful, but they travel a shorter distance compared to positive strikes, which start at the top of a thunderstorm. And so they have to travel much further to get down to the ground. It means they have more voltage. They have much more electrical energy, significantly more so. And so the uptick of positive lightning strikes with this storm tells me it's intensifying. So the hail signature, very impressive. The tornadic circulation also continuing to tighten. As far as an updated look as to where it is, the highest likelihood of a possible tornado would be right here where my hand is. So just now east of Crofton, just a touch to the southeast of it. You just saw another update there. So this is right around this general territory. The larger pink, especially where you see the lightning distributed just to the north, that's your hail core. That's where the bulk of the hail is falling. So you've got strong wind, strong inflow wind coming into this little notch. You've got hail on the northern flank of this, and then the likely location for a tornado. Sometimes you'll hear us refer to this as like a fist because it kind of comes around. You tend to get the rotation on that leading edge. The inflow that comes in on the backside of this to support it, that's what helps keep these thunderstorms going into longer time frames. It's kind of their fuel, their engine that keeps them functioning. So the National Weather Service, we have a communication with them, so we can relay information from them to you. They have now upgraded this tornado warning to not just radar indicated, but observed. So this is a confirmed tornado located over Crofton. It's just 12 miles north of the Hopkinsville area, and it is moving just a touch slower. It's actually moving at 25 miles per hour right now. Ambulance stations in the area are reporting quarter-inch hail. They're also reporting signs of rotation and hail near Greenbrier, so that's associated with this larger tornado-warned storm. The confirmed tornado that went through the Crofton area, I don't have damage reports on it just yet, but it has been confirmed. The greatest area of concern now for rotation is on the east side of that. So to give you some perspective as to where this is going and who is under the gun right now, it's this northern edge. And here's a look at the storm track. Haley's Mill, 8:09, that's less than a minute. So get down, that lowest, most interior room. Bluff Spring, 8:12. Kirkmansville, right around 8:15. Putting it into Mount Tabor, right around 8:18. Putting it near Mineral Springs School, which is outside of the warning. That's in Todd County. But if it maintains this structure and continues to move into Todd County with rotation, as I mentioned, this is now a confirmed tornado, then that would put it in the northern parts just north of Elkton in Todd County shortly. Some early indications that there may be some damage just south of Crofton to a carport and some signage there. We will work to confirm that. But with the winds associated with this system and the rotation signature, very impressive. That doesn't surprise me at all. So this is the area right on that tip where there would be the greatest concern for rotation. Here's a storm track on that part. Again, the northern side is where we've got the biggest hail threat. We've had a significant amount of hail that is being reported with this system. Bluff Spring, 8:12. Putting it into Kirkmansville right around 8:16. So this clearly the storm that we're watching because it is the only thunderstorm impacting us right now, but it won't be for the rest of the night. So coming in just a little tighter so you can get a sense of the roads that are near this. Here is the area of concern for rotation. It's near Judge Chapel Road. just south of Crofton Fire Tower Road. It would put it just south of the Haley's Mill area, likely the rotation passing just south of Haley's Mill, but the hail signature definitely right on top of your doorstep. Johnson Mill Road, as far as who's ahead of this, Fruit Hill, 189, the Gates Lane area, that's all under the gun. Now, this is one leading edge thunderstorm, severe thunderstorm, tornado warned storm that has developed ahead of this. The main event, what will be the most widespread threat tonight, is this cluster of storms that's coming together out of Missouri. So two things to keep an eye on. We're going to take a look at some computer modeling to give you a sense of how this evolves and what your severe weather threat is as you head into the evening hours tonight. So two things. One, we've got these front runners, these lone soldiers, these lone thunderstorms. Out ahead, that's what's impacting northern parts of Christian County. That's where we have a confirmed tornado, confirmed hail on the ground, possible damage just in the southern parts of Crofton. On the back side of it, the individual storms that you see across Missouri, they have a history of very large hail, upwards of an inch, inch and a half, and tornado warnings on them as well. As they get closer to us, they're actually going to merge together into one group of storms. You see how this becomes kind of a broader, more widespread, comprehensive look of storms. Around midnight, 1 a.m. We'll continue to have storms around the 5, 6, 7 o'clock time frame, and it's all done as we head towards 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we're only going to see our severe threat, unfortunately, Henry, go up over the next few hours.
And definitely a very concerning situation, of course, with that Christian County one, and almost a textbook hook echo that we've got here on Power of 5 radars. And I've zoomed it in. And again, like Bree said, this is really just kind of the beginning of things. But what we are seeing with this this evening is definitely a situation that you don't like to see in general, but dealing with it at night is concerning. Here's where the wind would be inflowing into the storm and, of course, circulating back out. So Haley's Mill, you all indeed are in the path of this. Just taking a look at our storm relative velocity, where we can see where the rotation is occurring with this right now. And it's almost right over Highway 189 between Haley's Mill and the Fruit Hill area. So if you are in these areas, you need to head to your safe place now. In fact, I'm going to switch this back over to radar mode and put a storm track on it, letting you know if you are indeed in the path of this storm. Again, the movement still to, I believe, the east at 30 miles per hour, Bree?
Southeast at 25. It slowed down just a little bit.
Southeast now. All right, so at 25. So let me adjust the speed on this and just putting a storm track on the southeast at 25 miles per hour. And let me take you through about the next 15 minutes. And if you hear me say your town's name, your city, your street, you need to head to your safe place right now. 814 Haley's Mill, that is in 2 minutes. Judge Chapel will be impacted at 8:15. Johnson Church at 8:21. Pleasant View Church at 8:25. Those cities, those towns, those communities, those churches in the path of this tornado warning right now that is in effect for Christian County. It goes until, I believe, now 8:45. Did they extend the warning for that one? I just saw
8:30.
8:30. That one still goes till 8:30. So there's still some warnings that are coming in just outside of the News Channel 5 viewing area, and it's unfortunately becoming the scenario that Bree's been talking about for much of the day, that once these storms get going, they are going to continue to fire up. A lot of energy that's coming out of Missouri right now, where we've got even more storms, as you can see, moving through southern parts of Illinois. Currently, the only warning that we have is this one right here for Christian County until 8:30 this evening. So about to move over Highway 189. Let's take a look at some of the hail signatures with this, because we've got reports of hail tied in with this, and it's basically encompassing all along that northern part of Christian County, now just to the east of the Crofton area. And getting in for a closer check around Haley's Mill, you all, Apex, seeing some hail as well along Highway 800, just north of Fruit Hill, and about to impact probably the northern portions of Bluff Springs with some of that hail that is tied in with this. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw quarter-size hail, even up to ping-pong ball-size hail, as we are getting some reports of some large hail potentially with this at this time. And we're getting more reports in of meteorologists in the area, trained spotters, that are reporting a carport destroyed with this Christian County one, and some roof damage as well. This from our friends at the Weather Service up in Paducah, Bree. So, of course, now we've seen multiple reports of this being a confirmed tornado on the ground, and where we've got this green and we'll kind of highlight this in here. The green and the red just coming right together. That is definitely a concerning sign of where we've got that rotation, and we are now getting, unfortunately, multiple reports of, credible reports of this tornado on the ground. And it being nighttime as well makes it an even more dangerous situation.
Exactly. So, you know, a couple of things we've noticed with this storm system. One, it's a right mover, so it's moving towards the southeast, and those tend to have an enhanced severe weather risk with them. Two is the hail threat has increased, both in how widespread the hail is and the size of the hail. So the storm is strengthening, and the rotation signature strengthened as it went through Crofton. So what this tells me is that this storm is strengthening as it moves through northern Christian County, and it's headed towards Todd County, eventually Logan County, if it stays together and crosses the Tennessee border. So this is one that could likely hold together across our entire northern tier. Now, here is another look. So there are no other severe warnings across Middle Tennessee or Kentucky at this point. That's going to change as we head into the evening hours, though, and the rest of the storms catch up. So here's another look at the tornado warned storm that we've got an eye on. Again, warning goes until 8:30, so it's got about 15 more minutes to it. Just in the last frame, you know, Henry was talking about that hook echo look to it earlier. That's when you see the brightest colors kind of hook around. I showed you how sometimes it kind of looks like a fist wrapping around your wrist. Well, that started to broaden out just a bit, so it's possible that there may be some weakening with the rotation. Not going to turn our back on it just yet, especially with the history and the fact that it was a confirmed tornado through Crofton, damage south of the Crofton area, carport destroyed, signage destroyed from this. We'll likely continue to get reports in over the next few hours as folks are able to go back out once that storm passes. Now, the leading edge of it, it's just the southern flank is where we would have the greatest concern for rotation. So eventually that's towards the Kirkmansville area. It's the northern side of it, the large purple that stretches all the way up to Greenville. That's where the most likely location for hail is. So the other thing that we look at, I showed you this, is shear, and not just shear, but the shear history. It's something called shear tracks. Shear is quite simply just rotation. It's things moving in opposite directions, right? Wind moving in opposite directions. So two things to notice in the shear signature from this as it comes into the tornado warning, the red box. One is the general shape starts to fan out just a little bit, especially as it heads towards Crofton. Typically with confirmed tornadoes, we see that fanning out in the signature that it leaves behind. The other thing is notice how the strength of it started to pick up, especially just south of Crofton where we had the confirmed tornado. Getting the blue and the green in there, that indicates shear upwards of 50 miles per hour. And keep in mind, this is looking at a radar that's at least 80 miles away. And so we're looking at the upper levels of the storm. It's not catching the rotation down at the lower levels. So we've got at least 50, 55 mile per hour shear in the upper levels of the storm. That just reinforces clearly what we already knew to be a tornado on the ground with the confirmed reports. Here's a look at the hail signature as well. I mentioned the damage to Crofton from the tornado likely was just south of town, but the hail signature moved just north of it. That hail will continue to be displaced just to the north of the storm, and that really started to pick up just in the last few frames. 1.5 inches being indicated on radar. And this is likely not the only large hailer that we're going to see as we head into the evening hours tonight. So here's a look at that warning. Thunderstorms are now starting to move into northern parts of Todd County. Whether or not they extend that warning, that's something the National Weather Service is keeping a very close eye on. We're going to be here to tell you where it is, who's under the gun, who's in the clear. Speaking of who's in the clear, for folks on the backside, let's give you some perspective. The backside of the warning, so northwest parts of Christian County right here, you're in the clear. Folks in Crofton, because we had the tornado confirmed on the ground, there are damage reports confirmed. Don't go outside and look for stuff. You don't know if there's power lines down. You don't know what sort of debris might be out there. Clearly, there's a significant amount of lightning as well in the hail signature. It's just not safe yet. And you do have that second round of storms that's going to impact you as you head into the evening hours tonight. So here's another look at that storm. It's still got a really impressive look to it, Henry.
Yeah.
With the inflow coming in this general direction. Put an arrow on that instead.
And the hail concerns with it too. I'm starting to get some even brighter returns, and usually when we see colors getting into that white shade there, indicating it's definitely got some hail with it. So that's what I'm seeing around the Jordan Road area, just to the east of Apex right now. So tornado threat, hail threat, lightning threat. even concerns with some of these gusty winds, like you said, Bree, of downed power lines. These are all things that we need to be concerned with as we go through the rest of the overnight hours and with this storm right now. But Cold Creek Road, basically, if you live in that Cold Creek Road area, just north of Brinkley Store Road, you all need to be in your safe place right now, likely hearing some loud hail that is falling tied in with this as well. Some gusty winds associated with it, and at this time the warning has not been extended into Todd County. Like Bree said, we continue to watch that, waiting to see what our friends at the National Weather Service Paducah decide to do with this. But even if the rotation is showing some signs that it's not quite as defined as it was, it's still fairly impressive, and regardless, there is still a severe threat and concern as we go through this evening. So let me put a track on, just in case you're just joining us. 8:20 right now. Meteorologist Henry Rothenberg, meteorologist Bree Smith here as well for our tornado coverage that we have up in our northern counties right now. Again, that kind of easterly movement. I'll take this out about 15 minutes or so, and this is going to start to move over the Johnson Church area right about now in about 30 seconds. Inberry Church around 8:30 as well. So it is one of these storms that as it continues to move through, it's shown some signs of weakening, then it begins to really get its rotation back together. But the one thing it is not showing signs of letting up on, Bree, the intense lightning indicating there's a lot of energy with this storm, the upper level winds with this storm, so the support of hail with it as well. In fact, taking a look at the hail signature in that area right there just east of Apex along Coal Creek and Jordan Road, that's where we see the largest signatures here on our hail return map from Power 5 radar. So the hail concerns are something that we really need to be concerned about. You've said it several times, and it's something that's very true. Mark the calendar down right now. It is Monday, March 2nd, and for folks that if you do have those hail damage reports, of course, you need to file it with insurance. They're very specific on when it happened. Monday, March 2nd, this storm. Right now, time 8:21, as we continue with our severe weather coverage with what's really just kind of the beginning of what looks to be a bit active next couple of hours.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for folks that have damage in that area because damage clearly occurring now, but then the storms that are coming out of Missouri will likely arrive closer to the midnight time frame. So clearly the most important thing is safety. Don't go outside. Now's not the time to assess it if you've still got that storm outside your house. But in that break or in the interim, if you do head outside and you do notice some damage, note it as best you can, put a note on the calendar, and then get back inside because you're going to have another round of storms that comes through in the overnight hours. Yeah. You know, we were talking, the threat will evolve. So right now it's a hail threat, it's a tornado threat. It will become more of a straight line wind threat once we get towards the midnight time frame. The current watches in place, that's the lighter red color, that includes our northwest counties, that's through 1 a.m. That may be extended into central middle Tennessee. We'll have to see the general storm trends. That's up to the National Weather Service and our partners at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. We don't determine those things. We just keep an eye on them and communicate and coordinate with them and then tell you all so that hopefully you can make those safe choices.
Real quick,
did they extend it?
It extended into Christian County. It's moving now east at about 40 miles per hour. So just to give you an update, this is going to go until 9 o'clock. But again, Christian County now in that tornado warning that we've been talking about.
So this is the same cell. That's what Henry was just saying to you, and you can see how that popped up on our map here. So that lighter red is the tornado watch. That means watch out. Conditions are favorable for tornadoes to develop. Warning means they're happening right now. And so that tornado warning has now been extended into southern parts of Muhlenberg County, northern parts of Todd County through 9 p.m. So this storm unfortunately continues to strengthen. It is on that northernmost edge, but the general movement of it is to the west and to the southwest. So again, very prominent signature here. It's a little hard to pick out with all of the lightning, so I went ahead and turned that off so you can kind of get a better look at it. This is now hail stretching over towards Rosewood. This is northern parts of Todd County. So here's Christian, Todd, Logan. Muhlenberg is on the north side of this. If this storm holds together, it may impact parts of Simpson County if it can keep that southeasterly jog. Here's a broader look at the storm track on it, starting with where the rotation signature is. So the northern flank, the hail, is going to continue to impact the northernmost tier of what this goes through. This puts it into Kirkmansville right around 8:25, puts it into Russellville around 8:46. Bowling Green, it'll be in your neck of the woods. At least the core of the storm will be in your neck of the woods or just after 9, so about 30 minutes from now. And then into the Scottsville area right around 9:24. And this will be the key to see if it can hold together and if it does dip into our Tennessee counties or if it keeps that more easterly jog to it. Henry, we've seen this kind of as a right mover.
Yeah.
When it originated, it was moving towards the northeast hours ago as it came by Paducah. Now then it started to move east, then it started to move southeast. And as I mentioned, those right movers, those storms that kind of drift off to the southwest or the southeast, they can intensify because they get that extra sort of oomph as far as rotation.
Yeah, and unfortunately we've had all day too, of course, for the atmosphere to really kind of get primed for this, Bree. I want to show you our Skynet 5 site. This is in Hopkinsville. Now, the warning is north of Hopkinsville, but keep in mind, you know, folks in Hopkinsville may be looking out the door right now and saying, well, not a lot's happening here. Well, that's because this warning is north of you. You've seen some rainfall so far. The wind's not too great in that area, and just because this warning is north does not mean that you all are in the clear as we go through the entire night. It's just this particular warning right now. Going to go on and take a look at this right now as far as our tornado warning is concerned. Again, it is moving to the east at 40 miles per hour, so putting a storm track on this as it goes till 9 o'clock. So I'm going to actually take it out 35 minutes, which would be right at 9 o'clock. That would be 24 miles to the east of its current location where the rotation is. Rosewood around 8:33, again currently 8:25, so you're looking at about 8 minutes in the Rosewood area. Whiskey Bay at 8:36, 8:39 at Hollow Bill, Lewisburg at 8:43, Lost City at 8:47. Quality at 8:51 and Davis Crossroads at 9 o'clock. If you've heard me say the name of your town, and let me get it in for a closer check for some street level mapping for you as well, then you all need to head to your safe place. The lowest floor of your home. If you do not have a basement in your home, you want the most interior room. Usually that's a bathroom, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And another thing that I'm seeing with this too right now, Bree, is potential that where that rotation is, this could be what's now called a rain wrap tornado, where rain is actually circulating around. The rotation would be in here, but where we've got the greens right in here, the rain would likely be circulating around the actual tornado itself, making it impossible to see. Of course, nighttime events in general are certainly dangerous, but when you add the fact that even during the day, if something were rain wrapped, any train spotter, any train chasers would not actually be able to see this. And this is something I'm getting concerned about, Bree, as it moves along Highway 171, just north of Kirkmansville, that this is likely a rain wrapped tornado right now. Of course, this has had reports of being on the ground, but just one more closer check right in there. It's by the radar signatures fairly well defined, but there are concerns right in there that I'm seeing that this is likely rain wrap, which means you won't be able to see it regardless, even with the lightning strike. So you need to, of course, take this serious and head to your safe place now as this warning goes until 9 o'clock.
So a recap to you, we have a tornado warning now in effect until 9 p.m. This started moved into Christian County. That warning has now been extended into Muhlenberg and Todd County. Confirmed tornado that passed just southwest of Crofton. Of course, as the damage reports start to come in, we're also getting some reports of power outages. Carrie, I believe you have some more information about some of the impacts across parts of Christian County.
Yes, we are watching this in the newsroom as well. And right now we can tell you from Penny Ryle Electric, 847 customers, so that's homes and businesses, without power right this minute. Now, many of those customers are northeast of Hopkinsville. As Henry and Bree have been telling you, this tornado warning for Christian County, Muhlenberg, and Todd counties. This is in Kentucky. It goes until 9 tonight, so that's another good 30 minutes. Of course, Henry and Bree are watching this very closely. We're going to get back to them in just a moment, but I do want to remind you, once the coast is clear, once you know you are out of danger, if you want to peek outside, let us know about damage. Again, only when the coast is clear. Right now, we don't have any damage reports, but we're always waiting to hear those so we know what the folks that are in line next may expect. I'm going to send it now to Bree and Henry again.
Yeah, so as Carrie was saying, we do have some power outages out there. There was the damage reports that we did have were in the Crofton area. So reports of a carport damage, some sign damage there. Also confirmed tornadoes that came through. A meteorologist in that area, trained storm spotter, clearly a professional, saw the tornado. So this is a confirmed system, even if it didn't look this impressive on radar, with all of that confirmation. And hail upwards of 1.5 inches. This is a storm you do not want to turn your back on. You don't want to be driving in it either. if this is not necessarily an area that you're in, but maybe you know someone who is, you could be that person, you could be that friend that calls them and says, get off the road. So Henry's telestrating on here. You can see the area that he's talking about. The area of greatest concern for rotation is right here. So it's right on what would be the tip of this sort of ball-looking structure that's on the southern flank of it. That's where he's putting the yellow. So it's right near Kirkmansville. This area here, where you see the yellows and the red, this is the inflow.